danger!
We need to end this. I can fight.
Better than any of us. But I need you safe.
What the hell?
I need you to trust me.
Holy mother of God.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Real Time for the Real Everyday Movie Fan. I'm, of course, Josh Williams.
And I'm Ryan Murphy.
And thank you so much for joining us here today because we are here to give you our real-time review of Stranger Things Season 3. Came out over the 4th of July. I finished it, I think, Saturday or Sunday, one of the two. My baby's been pretty fussy, and as you guys know, I've told you, we will get reviews up for you as quickly as possible, but it's all dependent upon my little girl, so we're here giving you a review now. It's Tuesday. Now, before we get into our review, guys, who's all in this? Ryan, I'm not even sure who's on this.
Same people as the last few seasons.
A few new people though.
A couple of new people, but David, obviously David Harbour, Winona Ryder, Finn Wolfhard, Millie Bobby Brown, Gaten Matarazzo, Caleb Mclaughlin, Sadie Sink, what's her name? The Charlie Heaton, and then the girl whose name I'm escaping. You put me on the spot. I didn't know you were going to do that.
Oh no, it's Ethan Hawke's daughter's in this too.
Yep, and
yep.
Uma Thurman. Uma Thurman.
Yep.
And yeah, she looks so much like her dad. It's crazy.
Yeah, she really does.
It's kind of weird because she's really kind of hot, but also I'm seeing Ethan Hawke, so I'm very confused sexually. It's like someone put a wig on Ethan Hawke.
But no, I can't remember. For everybody who's known, I know the Duffer Brothers, of course, are the creators, but is that one guy still the director, and co-producer?
Sean Levy, yeah. The Duffer Brothers are the creators and the main showrunners. Sean Levy is a veteran film director who they brought the idea to back in like 2015, and he's the one that got it going. He's still like the third executive producer, and he's not a writer, but he'll direct several episodes. So this season, and I think last season too, the Duffer Brothers directed the first two and the last two episodes of the season, and he directed the third and fourth. So
okay, interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now that we've gotten those out the way, guys, and before we get into our review, again, please be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you can receive more of our various content in the future. We got that out of the way. Now let's talk Season 3 of Stranger Things. Now,
and you know what, Josh? I should have mentioned. I forgot to mention this to you before we clicked record. But I thought we do our spoiler-free review, and then we would actually just lapse into like a spoiler, like we have a barrier saying, and now spoilers.
I was just thinking the same thing. Hey, great minds think alike.
Great minds think alike. So, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Ryan. Yeah. So
okay.
for the audience members, listen to Sean real quick, or Ryan real quick. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. So anyway, starting off the spoiler-free section of our review, I will go ahead and give this right off the bat. I'm going to go ahead and say 7.5 out of 10.
Well, because before you get your review, it's very interesting for the guys knowing we're all watching. We're both ready to do the review, but he finished it before I did, and all I got was a text from him going, pfft. Like I was like, uh-oh. I was like, oh god, he must have really hated it.
Well, given the fact that the first two seasons are straight 10 out of 10s.
Yeah, like they're great. They're really great.
Straight up masterpieces. What I said to someone recently was. I wasn't sure you knew what I was referring to because you never responded. Yeah. So, but obviously, I mean, you're the one that introduced me to Stranger Things. First two seasons are masterpieces, and I said to someone recently, I think Stranger Things at its worst is better than most TV at its best.
Sure.
Honestly, the 7.5 it gets kind of just for being Stranger Things, and for having continuing along with these characters that we love so much, and we want to go on their journey with them.
Mm-hmm.
So the first 4 episodes, the first half, is by far the best section, and a lot of it's just this kid drama, and it's kind of like who really cares about 14-year-old romances and 14-year-old crap?
That is really unfair, son. We care.
Because it's so like, it's a lot of the time it seems like stuff they're going to forget about by the time they're 17, but with Stranger Things, it's just great. I mean, and like, a lot of you're dealing with, 11 is learning to, be her own woman, and that there's more to life outside of her boyfriend. She gets to, be girlfriends with Max and stuff like that. And this is not high drama stuff, but it's just when you're watching it in Stranger Things, you can't take your eyes off of it.
And for me, it has to do with the actors and actresses, because they're so good at their jobs.
Absolutely. But for me, it kind of fell off the board once everything got going in the second half. There's basically, I would say, a couple of main complaints. One is there's a loss of stakes. There's a loss of verisimilitude. There's a loss of sort of practicality and realism once things get started going, because what I mean by that is not so much there's a monster. Okay, monsters don't exist. But, as far as the verisimilitude.
You know what that word means? How about that be your word for the day, huh?
Practicality, that kind of realism, is when the villains are shooting at people and not hitting a damn thing. There's a dozen instances where people really should have died and they don't. And and that can be changed in the writing process by just not introducing, like, have the same situation, but don't have this X thing happen, so we can be fooled into thinking they weren't the luckiest darn individuals in the history of the earth for, So, like, a good example is when the villain is firing a machine gun from a certain distance, it should be hitting someone, especially a highly trained person. I don't want to give away too much, but
we'll talk about in the spoiler section.
Yeah, but so, I mean, that was sort of the main issue I had. I didn't really even buy the villain so much this time around. There's just some goofy stuff that happens towards the end that kind of lost me. But overall, it took us on the next chapter of these characters, and I didn't think anything was too inappropriate in terms of their journey. And I'm really excited for season 4 now.
Yeah,
because I think season 4, or Stranger Things 4, is going to be. I mean, that's the culmination, sort of. Sean Levy has said that they previously said that they would do 4 seasons, but Sean Levy recently said like they may do a 5th.
Really? I did not know that.
I mean, yeah, they may go on, just because, I mean, Netflix has got to be breathing down their neck to keep going. I mean, you're going to put a lot of people out of work, but whatever way, whether they go on or not, season 4 is going to be the culmination of a lot of stuff that they've been building, and I have some predictions about what's going to happen in season 4.
I do too. We're going to talk about those with you.
Well, go ahead and give us your score out of 10, and then tell us what you thought about season 3.
I'll admit I was a little disappointed myself as well. It's definitely the least of the best of the 3, but then again, like you said it yourself. It's even with the score I'm giving it and what my thoughts are about it. It's still better than most stuff out there right now, and it's still well worth watching, especially because we love these characters. I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. There was quite a few things I was disappointed with, some things that kind of frustrated me, that I knew the Duffer Brothers were better than certain aspects of this, that some stuff I can talk about now, but we'll talk about it more in depth in the spoiler. So one of the things, of course, that I absolutely loved was Millie Bobby Brown and Finn Wolfhard's character. Sorry, I'm blanking on his name. Help me. Sorry. Mike, there we go. Thank you. Sorry, and
Natalia Dyer is the other actress.
I'm sorry. In 11, but no, I loved their chemistry. They have such good chemistry together on screen, and I loved exploring that a little bit more. And yeah, the first half was more, teenage drama, but you also got some adult drama with Joyce and Chief Hopper, and I will say that part to me was the most frustrating, because at first they have this little bickering back and forth. It's not really spoiler territory. It's nothing too crazy, but they have some bickering back and forth to one another, and it's cute at first, and it's kind of entertaining, but it keeps going on and on and on throughout the whole season. After a point in time, it just started to get really like eye-rolling to me. I was like, okay, can we just get past this so we can move on? I want to move on to the next scene, where they could have maybe handled it to where it ended at a certain point, and they can grow from there, given their story arcs between the two of them, which again we'll get in the spoiler because I don't want to give anything away. But I just found it very annoying after a point in time towards the end of the show. And you brought up the villains, which of course we all know, we saw from the trailers, that the Mind Flayer makes an appearance in this in some fashion. And I will say that villain, because there's two villains in the show. There's two different villains, and I don't want to give away the other villain. We'll talk about in the spoiler. But I loved how the mind flare thing, it added up. It made sense. But the other villains just seemed to came out of left field for me. And then when you realize what they're doing in the show, there's no reasoning for why they're doing what they're doing. They're just like, oh, they're doing it just because they're bad guys. And I'm just like, I don't know if I can buy that with this kind of show. I feel like they're better than that in giving us good reasonings behind character motivations. Even the mind flare, even if it's based on D&D books, they're still giving us something. Whereas this one was left a big hole of why. You know what I mean? And I hope maybe they'll explore it in season 4 some more, if given the events that happened. But besides that, I really loved the season. I loved the you got to admit the budget must have increased dramatically, because the cinematography, the special effects, everything just kicked up a notch in this show. I really felt like it was just mind-blowing to me for a Netflix show how good it looked. And I don't know, that for me was just probably the biggest and fun aspect of it. I still had a ton of fun. So many great nerd references that we can geek out about. It's Stranger Things, And I did love the addition. I will say I loved the addition of what was it, Maya Hawke, Ethan Hawke's daughter. I can't remember what her character name is. It's blanking on me. Yeah, there we go. Robin, thank you. But she stays with Steve. She has a more of a relationship with Steve, and that was really fun for me. I really felt like they did a good job with introducing her, but just kind of thrusting her in organically. It didn't feel out of place in any sorts. And I don't know, that part I really like too. But there's a couple other things, but I can still say, it's such a fun show to watch.
Still giving it an 8 out of 10, which is
yeah.
hot, considering.
I still loved it, even though I still have my complaints. Those are just like they're things that I don't know. I like you said, I'm giving it the 8 because it is Stranger Things, because I love it so much. I love the characters. I love the world that they have created with this upside down, and I love what can possibly come into the future. You know what I mean? So that's my biggest thing. I have one last. What are your thoughts on Dacre Montgomery, his character Billy, and how they handled his character? How do you think they did? Because I was not giving anything away. I was hoping they would go more of the route of Steve's character arc, maybe giving him some more to do. But I don't know. They kind of made him the villain, because in the trailers you can tell he is going to be taking a part as a villainous character.
Well, he's possessed by the mind flayer, just like Will is in season 2. So, I thought they did a decent job for the most part.
And so I like the end. I like the last season. I liked at the end of the season how they handled his character. But just in the beginning, I don't know. I felt like they could have done some more there, maybe. But they kind of just kept him in the villain slot. I don't know. But I think that'll do it for our spoiler-free review, I think. So we can kind of talk about, you have anything else to add that you liked or didn't like?
Nope, I'm eager to talk about spoilers.
Yeah. Okay, guys. So for fans out there, we gave a 7.5 out of 10, 8 out of 10. Of course, go see it. Just subscribe to Netflix if you have to. We're not getting paid by Netflix, don't worry. But it's just really worth watching. If you can find another way to watch it, please do so. But now, here's your chance. If you haven't seen it, stop here. Come back and talk with us afterwards. But here's your spoiler warning right now. Go.
Okay. Hopper's so alive.
He's so alive. Oh, yeah.
He's so alive.
You lie!
Oh, leave the American there.
Yeah. No, they didn't have me fooled for a second. I was like, as soon as it happened, I was like, no.
Yep.
This is the upside. I don't know how.
Yeah, me either.
He got sucked into the upside down. I don't know how he would get sucked, but they know what they're doing. And I'm thinking, it's supposed to be a review, not a prediction joint. But I will say, season 4, I think 11's gonna round up the other kids from the lab to go on a rescue mission.
Yes.
So I
firmly believe that too.
Yeah, but going back to what I said, the Russians. Yeah, it did. It feels a little bit out of left field, but it's you have to understand what Stranger Things is all about, is these 80s movies being a classic 80s movie, basically. And there's nothing more 80s than Russians and the bad guy Russians. And when you think about it, they had to make an appearance sooner or later.
That one Russian guy was, he was so the Terminator. Just how he walked, how he acted is you're Okay.
And there's a line where he says, "You won't hurt me. You are policemen. Policemen have rules." That's straight from Die Hard.
Yeah.
And then the other line that I caught was a direct quote was from Jaws, where he says, "I can do anything I want. I'm the chief of police."
Yep.
But no, so, but basically, the first thing that happened that I thought was really just sort of took me out of the practicality of it was when they took the little girl on for the ride, basically, and I was like,
yeah,
that is a really bad decision. That, like, I don't think if you made it in real life, you wouldn't be a very sympathetic person. No. But then, like, when the Russian starts firing his machine gun at them, and basically every time that he and Hopper got into a fight, I'm thinking, this is a really highly trained, I would presume a highly trained Russian agent versus Fat Rambo. And which was the best line from the whole show.
Yeah, that was.
Even Thin Rambo couldn't make it. But yeah, every time he fought him, I'm just like, this guy should be just wiping the floor with him because he's supposed to, I mean, so, and then like there's a moment when Jonathan is fighting the one guy and like the guy picks up a stool and it's like, the only thing to do here is to bring it down on his head and kill him instantaneously. Yeah. So he brings it down on his back. And I'm just like, these are situations, you don't have to write them this way. You can make it slightly different so that we don't. But there was just, and then the worst moment, the moment where it was just like the worst moment of the whole season was when Dustin saves Steve from the Russians, where he just barges in there out of nowhere. And this, 14-year-old kid saves the day from a highly secure Russian base. Plus, the whole Russian base is a little hard to swallow. Like, this is a huge construction that they built here, and who's been building this? Well,
I mean,
all the construction workers that built it.
That part I could buy. Only reason being because they had the mayor in their pocket, and he was probably paying him off to turn the other way so they can build this. Underground thing. But you need construction workers, and they talk about there's miles of walkways. True.
Like, they didn't have to write that part in. Like, if this was just like something that they could push off as part of, basement of the mall or something. But yeah, it's
the one part that really frustrated me, honestly, with the Russian aspect. This is the part I couldn't talk to in the spoiler-free section. Was they open up the gate because. Exactly. Yeah. That to me was the biggest glaring problem. Like, if I would have gotten just something, sure. At least tell me then. Like, at least they didn't even allude to why. Like, they didn't give a line like, "Why are you doing this? You know why, or why not?" And like, for me, it'd be like, "Okay, why not?" Then okay. Like, but it's just nothing. Like, absolutely nothing. And it's just it frustrated me. I was like, "Come on, Duffer Brothers, you're better than this." And of course maybe, I don't know. The only thing I can think of is that maybe they were catching on that the State Department, like the U.S. government, was trying to do this. So they're like, living like the nuclear race and like Cold War and everything, maybe they're just trying to mimic what the United States was doing. And since they couldn't do it in Russia, they went and when they realized that they were doing it in this little small town, they're like, oh, let's do it here. Let's see what the Americans, the whole fuss about, is about what the Americans. That may be it, but I would have wished they would have alluded to it at least. Right now I'm just speculating. That's something you want to do better at as a writing team. But that was really the only biggest problem I had. And that for me, it was funny how I talked about the other thing was frustrating was with Hopper and Joyce. Like they're bickering. Like at first it was cute. But when they finally, we were in that car ride and they, finally got told off. They got told by the guy, the journalist, about their problems. I wish then they would have maybe talked about it and then just moved on from it. At least the writers I'm talking about, moved on, something more dramatic and more talking, like the little small talking moment they had before they went in and try and turn the keys. You know what I mean? That was really nice, but they kept bickering even after that. And it just started to get annoying because I felt like that moment when you think Hopper's dead, like when she turns the keys and it explodes, and everyone, he's dead. Millie Bobby Brown's crying. In that moment, I feel like it'd have been more powerful if they would have stopped bickering at the point in time. It's just that part was frustrating me. But that part to me, though, I don't know about you, but I shed some tears, and that it has to do with Joyce and Millie Bobby Brown's performance. Especially Millie Bobby Brown. That little girl can act. She can act her ass off, and it really hit the heartstrings really hard for me. Given now that I have my own little girl, so it was cute. It was cute and adorable. I am excited to see how they're going to do things now because, 11 and sorry,
Mike.
no, not Mike. Mike, 11 and Will and Jonathan. They don't say where they're going, but they're leaving Hawkins.
Yeah.
So of course I'm going to guess something's going to happen in Hawkins with the mind flare and the gate that causes it to open. I don't know what, but it's going to cause.
They're going to open it themselves to try and rescue Hopper somehow.
But he's in the jail cell though.
I know, but I don't know. I think because I think that's the other thing that bugged me is it's just like, what's the plot this season? Someone else opens the gate again.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like, and then we have to close it again.
Yeah.
What's gonna happen next season? Someone's gonna open the gate again, and we gotta close it again. It's So I think they need to throw a wrench in there and sort of do something a little bit differently. So like I said, it might be 11 like getting a team of like metahumans together and we need to see all the other experiments before the show ends. So
I have always felt like ever since they gave us that little nugget in season 2 that they would pay it off in one of the seasons. I always thought it'd be season 4, where we would explore, like something big would happen. The mind flare actually comes through the gate, like the actual mind flare. Because in this season, it's like a thing that he creates of himself. It's like, you know what I mean? And that's how I took it, at least, like, because it was shaped just like him, but it was like a creature that he created from himself. Kind of like a shell, if you will. But I feel like somehow, some way, maybe the Russians' fault again, that they'll open up the gate somehow, and then the mind flare will actually come through, and hell will ensue.
Yeah,
I think that might happen. Or actually, I didn't think about this. The Demogorgon at the very end, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my mom asked me, "How's the Demogorgon alive if the mind flare is not, the gate's not open?" Well, if we remember season 1, the Demogorgon's not a part of the Mind Flayer's army. He's his own creature. So that's why he's able to live without the gate being opened.
But that's not the case. The Demogorgons all died at the end of season 2.
But those are the Demodogs. The Demogorgon from season 1, I mean, you have to think there's probably more than just one Demogorgon from season 1. Like, it shouldn't. I don't think it would just be that one creature.
And Demogorgon's the same thing.
No, the Demogorgon is much bigger. It's much bigger than the Demodogs.
It's fully grown. Go back and watch. And the gate's open all the way from season 1 through season 2. The gate never closes until the end of season 2, when all the Demogorgons die.
I'll have to look at that.
Now you got to go back and rewatch the whole series.
Probably. Man. But here's my theory. And I want to get your take on this. What if, because the Demogorgon from season 1 can open and close the gate at his will, from the upside down to the real world. What if somehow the Demogorgon...
It always has to be open to some extent.
Okay, you think so?
One that's at the bottom of the chase. So that's a good point. I think that there has to be a gate open. Maybe they finally succeeded in opening in Russia. I don't know. So
I just maybe wonder, like, maybe if the Demogorgon opened it somehow for the mind flare, and that's how he comes through. I'm just speculating. I'm not sure how they're going to do it, but that'd be a very interesting take, because there has to be a reason they're just showing the Demogorgon out of nowhere in the last frame of the season. So who knows? But I don't know. I really love this season. I still loved it. It was not the best, and it did leave you on a more of a somber note than season 2. But I don't know. I'm curious to see how things are going to turn out. I'm really excited.
Absolutely.
But all right, folks, that was it for today. Thank you very much for watching. What did you think of Stranger Things 3? Which is most important? Leave your comments in the section below. Let us know whether you liked it or not. Give us your positives, negatives, and your score out of 10. Also, if you like what you watched, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel so you can receive more of our various content in the future. Also, like us on Facebook, Twitter, and Stardust. The links are in the description below, as always. That's all we have for today. Again, I'm Josh Williams.
And I'm Ryan Murphy.
And thank you for keeping it real.
With real time.